Ladies and gentlemen of AVCon 2016, please put your hands together for Goose from Good Game. Hello, Adelaide. How you going? You good? It's been a long day. A bit more energy. Are you guys good? Excellent. Thank you so much for that announcement, handsome person by the side of the curtain who talked me on. That definitely wasn't me. Guys, it's great to see you all. Thank you so much for having us. Welcome to Good Game Unplugged. This is our take on a laid-back, casual evening with Good Game. So basically, it's been 10 years since the show went to air, and we've got a lot of stories, we've played a lot of games, and we thought this might be a nice, relaxed, chilled-out session. It's not going to be, no pressure on you guys, no pressure on us. We're just going to relax up here, chat away, and does that sound all right? Cool. Excellent, excellent stuff. Now, we've got a little video put together because, as I mentioned, it has been 10 years. Who's been watching Good Game for 10 years? Show of hands. Wow, dedicated, nice. Who's just watched it recently? Yeah, there's a bit of noise over there. Who has no idea what the show is? Wow, honest. Thank you. We can do a little research afterwards. But yes, guys, it's been great fun working on the show, and hopefully you enjoy watching it. So we'll pop this little video on, not on my laptop down here that broke just before the show. So I'm just going to lean down here, talk amongst yourselves, and then I'll get the... That's not the right one. Come on, Goose. You've got that ready. Nailed it. And then we'll get the guys out on stage. I hope you enjoy, guys.
Hi there. I'm Janet Carr, or some of you may know me as Sid, or Sidski, and I am the series creator and the current executive producer of Good Game. 10 years ago, I was working at the ABC on a news program when I was asked if I had any ideas for a new program. As a lifelong gamer and a long-time TV producer, I really felt that there should be a television program about video games and that program should be on the ABC. Even so, I was overwhelmed by the response that we got to that first program back in September 2006. The show was created by such a small team in a tiny studio, actually about the same size as the pocket studio I'm sitting in now. Since then, Good Game has changed a lot in the decade that we've been on air. We've watched as games have grown in scale and popularity. We've launched new shows like Spawn Point, Pocket and Well Played, and we've welcomed more and more people into our little Good Game family. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all of your comments and your feedback and for coming today. You have shaped the show as much as the dedicated team that make it, and for that I am sincerely grateful. So enjoy the show today. Sidski out.
Welcome to Good Game. I'm Hex.
And I'm Barjo.
We have some seriously scary games in this week's episode,
Hello,
Barjo.
that's right, Game. I'm Barjo.
And I'm Hex.
And in a strange happenstance of coincidences, all of our game reviews this
Hello
week.
and welcome to Good Game, the show for gamers by gamers.
Good Game, I'm Barjo.
And I'm Hex.
The show for gamers. That's right, Hex. New year, new look.
I'm Joe.
Packed show this week, John, with two popular game franchises.
Very good game. I'm going to give it a good show for gamers. And I'm Barjo. Hello and welcome to the very first Good Game.
It was a dream come true. I did not believe it was actually happening.
Hello and welcome to Good Game, the show for gamers by gamers.
It was such a small team to begin with. I came on in Series 2 and there were like 4 or 5 of us, really, the core kind of team, and now we have maybe 3 times that. Well, we had a cupboard. We didn't have a big studio like this. We had this little cupboard and it got very hot in there. It was probably against occupational health and safety, but nobody knew we were there. We were kind of like this renegade show hiding in a corner of an ABC office that was all very corporate.
Looks like there's only one way we're going to settle this.
Yeah, it's a family that's grown over the years, and I don't think I'm the father of the family by any means. Maybe I'm the weird uncle of the family. I'm not really in charge of anything, but I'm also have to be here.
Hello and welcome to Good Game, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Hex.
And I'm Barjo, and we love the video games.
Well, I mean, the whole experience of joining the show was completely surreal because I was such a fan of Good Game and I've been watching it for so long that when I came in to do my screen test, it was like, I'm on the set, I'm sitting in the chair. So it was really exciting, but a little bit weird. It was a bit Twilight Zone as well. In the early days, it was just, an exciting ride getting to know Barjo and getting to know everyone. The games are a little bit different. We did a lot more sketches too, which was weird.
Doing this like crazy for hours on end.
Yeah, and I love swords.
Hex, did that robot just introduce itself?
Affirmative. Darren, I have been selected to assist you in the hosting of Good Game Spawn Point.
I think when you start on television, you have an idea in your head of what a television presenter is. And so you kind of behave in a certain way and you talk a certain way. And I think over time we've just relaxed a little bit more and we feel like we can be ourselves a lot more as well.
You get a shower?
Yeah. I take the controller into the shower, I put plastic over it, I put Glad Wrap over it, and I just angle the mirror, and I can keep playing while I'm in the shower. Yeah, I can't clean myself though, so just shake.
I don't want to picture
shake
that.
the dirt
I'm
off.
sorry I asked. I'm
Shake all the dirt off while I'm in the shower.
I think it's really exciting and I'm really proud, to be honest, of the way the show has evolved and expanded over the years. Our team has really grown. We've brought new people in to tackle different aspects of the show. It's been kind of really exciting to watch that happen and to be a part of it and to be able to say, yeah, our show has grown.
We've been going for 10 years, which is a huge amount of time, and TV is changing, online is changing, the way people cover games and talk about games is changing, and we want to change with that, and yeah, something to think about all the time.
Hi there. I'm Janet Carr, or some of you may know
The
me
video
as
plays
Sid.
twice. I think we've seen it once enough. Thank you. The memories. Well, thank you guys. That was 10 years of the show. Don't worry, I'll look at you in a second. This is totally not my laptop. Yeah, guys, 10 years. It's been a seriously long amount of time. And yeah, as you can see, a lot of things have changed, but a lot of things have still stayed the same. So we better get them out here to talk a little bit about the show and some of the games we've played over the years and enjoyed. So would you please help me in welcoming the rest of the Good Game team? First of all, he's one of the newer members of the Good Game family. He has a daily show. Does anyone watch an internet show called Good Game Pocket? Excellent. And you might be aware of my brother from another mother. He's the man with the damp hands. Please welcome Nick Boy. There we go. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you.
Take a seat.
Ow.
Excellent. And another member of a web-based show as well. He's into all things sports, but that's esports, which is very different. I made the mistake last time. It's a good line. Please welcome Michael Hingers Hing. Welcome, Michael. Have a seat. That's a stylish outfit you're wearing. Is that a onesie?
Yes.
That is that. There you go.
Thank you. Show them where the zip is.
Don't show them where the zip is. Actually. All right, thanks for joining us, guys. And of course, the two members of the Good Game team that we wouldn't have a show without. Would you please put your hands together? You know them, you love them. It's Barjo and Hex. Hi, guys. Have a seat. Welcome.
Hi, how's it going, everyone? It is going
Hi.
woo.
Thanks so much for coming and for lining up and for, yeah, coming to hang out with us. It's nice, very intimate couch. Feels very relaxed.
I'm weirded out by the catwalk, though. I don't know what they expect from us. Because it's like, we figured it would just be this sort of couch
well,
situation.
we were practicing some fashion walks.
Yeah, but then
Or-
there's like sexy Bajo butt like strutting down. Give him a look.
You want to see?
Do that, do
Give
that,
him a
do
look.
that. All right.
Give it a twirl.
Walk,
Wait,
walk.
wow, the light
do
comes
the
up.
fashion walk. Do the fashion walk and do the pose at the end. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So
Oh.
sexy.
No, 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 no.
They don't do that in fashion.
This is what you came to see.
As if your ego wasn't difficult enough to control, we gave you a catwalk as well. Excellent, guys. Well, yes, as I said, we're going to chat a bit about the show first of all, and just about the time you guys have had on it, because we've got a range of experience here, a range of time that you guys have all been on the show. But I do want to start with Barjo. first of all, because you have the most pedigree. You have been here the longest. But before we get into that, I just realized I have one more thing to add. We are going to do a Q&A, guys, at the end of the show, or the second half of the show. But the way we're going to do that is we're actually going to get you guys to tweet in your questions. There will be a mic, but we thought a fun way to do it would be to unleash a hashtag, as social media savvy people put it. So if I click this button, you guys can tweet a question to the convenient hashtag. Oh, this worked so much better in rehearsal. Hey, there you go. Good Game Unplugged Q and
Gugapqua.
Gugapqua.
So if you guys do have a question, please tweet that on your phones with that as the hashtag, and we'll have a look through as we get to the Q&A section, and we might answer one of your questions. We might point you out. We might name and shame you as well, depending on the question. Or we might just get a lot of tweets for some kind of like weird social political movement that has the same acronym. I have no idea. We didn't check this before we went on, so this could all blow up in our face. But isn't that what a live show is about?
Does anyone here not have Twitter? Stick up your hand. So just annoy the person next to you. Just ask for their phone and their Twitter password, and like you could just use theirs.
Yeah, or feel free to make an egg account and troll us as well.
Yeah, that works too.
That's a good point, actually. But there will be a mic around as well, so when we move on to that, we will have that section. But for now, I'm going to quiz you guys, or I'm going to ask you guys some serious, hard-hitting journalism questions. Or we're just going to make it up as we go. I think that'll work as well. Barjo, you've been on the show the longest. Tell me a little bit about when you started. Obviously, things were very different. You were very different on screen. I want to know who that person was.
That was cool, Bud.
That was cool. I'm not cool. You don't think I'm cool now?
I mean, you're cooler to me, for sure.
Do the fashion walk again.
No one wants to see that or wanted to see it in the first place. See me after. So, starting on the show was amazing. Like, it was incredible. I'd done like one TV show before, which was this awful late night quiz show where people like texted into wins. I'm sorry if anyone saw it. Did anyone see Midnight Zoo or remember that? Yeah. See, you know, and
they're all so disappointed about it. Yes, we watched it.
It was a job. The thing is, like, when people come up to me and they say, "Hey, I watched Good Game," you know, we have a lovely chat about games and things that people are into. But when I did that show, people would come up to me and go, "Yeah, I've seen you on that show. I freaking hate that show. I hate what you do on it." So, but the first few months of Good Game was such a learning curve. And over the years, it was very much just learning to kind of be myself and getting to play all of these games and genres that I never got to play.
Sure.
You know, it opened up my mind to the world of gaming in ways that I didn't really understand before.
I think Nick has a question, which is not how this is meant to work, but I'm more than willing to take questions.
Nicholas.
The sexy boy on the couch. When did the laugh come along?
You mean the
cackle.
trademark Barjo cackle?
Yeah, because that was not there at the beginning.
Well, my first laugh was more of a kind of like that, and it was just who I was.
Did you have some sort of bronchial disease?
No, but I think there's something to be said for the fact that, like, I think, like I was saying in the video, you have an idea in your head of what a television presenter is. In my head, I think it was Sandra Sully. And because I wanted to divorce myself from any kind of MTV type anything, which was what was like, you know, I don't want to be that.
Like, yo, welcome.
Yeah. So I was all very like, I was talking like this, and I was like, yeah, games are like this, and this level is kind of stupid, and I don't want to play it anymore. And so I watch it now, and I'm like,
classic Sandra.
Stop trying so hard. So I think for you, you've just like allowed yourself to slowly become more yourself over time. And the cackle has been kind of the evolution of that until you reached your final form, as it were.
This isn't even my final form.
Do you think evolution can go too far? Because that's what I think's happened.
Maybe, yeah.
Do you think, like, under the right environment, evolution just kind of, like, finds its happy place?
I think it went too far when Barjo was, like, half naked on Pocket, and there were close-ups of his nipples.
Not far enough.
Where do you go from that? Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, Steph, obviously you joined a little later on, and as you said, it was quite transformative. You had, you know, years to get used to what you're doing. How was it working with Barjo in those early years? I mean, you were obviously looking up to him because, you know, he'd had a little more time on the show, but...
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome because we were instant friends, and I think it was just... I felt so lucky to be working on a show that I was such a big fan of already. But
we went clubbing together, do you remember?
We did.
When we first met?
Really? We used to go out, we used to drink alcohol and hang out in the
how
clubs.
the clubbing was done in the day.
No more, but we did. Yeah, no, it was awesome. I remember we would go out as a group, and then Bajo would just disappear, and we'd be like, "Where's Bajo?" And then someone would point to the dance floor, and he'd be like, he would cut loose. It was awesome. Yeah, we had such a good friendship, and I just felt, very lucky to be able to be doing something that I loved as a job, and then have such great friendships with the people that I worked with. But it was also very helpful for me because at the time, taking over from Jung, there was a lot of backlash from that, and so I was getting a lot of online, intense harassment. So it was very sad. I was very depressed, and so that was "You're My Rock Man."
Yeah, because it was a tricky transition period, but you've come to the point now that you guys are sort of a duo. Do you guys think what's going to happen in the next, looking forward 5 years or something like that? Could you imagine hosting the show without one another?
I could
Not to get grim, but I'm like,
I couldn't imagine not working with Hex. I couldn't imagine not having you next to me.
So hard to imagine. Even when we do occasionally events or whatever that one of us can't do, it's just like missing a limb because we bounce off each other, we finish each other's sentences and things like that.
Sentences.
Great. Good job.
years of training.
Yeah.
It's
just it's like a comfort thing. It's a safety thing. It's like a weird on-screen marriage.
Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of things that drive each other crazy.
Yeah. I often say Bajo has to put up with the worst of me, really, because I save all the nice stuff for my actual relationship, and then he just cops all the crap and bad moods and everything. I'm so sorry.
I've got more than enough of my own. What's the word? Annoying
baggage.
Yeah, baggage and weird things. I do.
Yeah, but it's charming. It's charming and lovely as well.
You guys make a lovely old natty couple on the couch. I want to move over to the weird uncles of the.
Yeah.
Woo!
How you guys doing? It's good to not have children.
What does that have to do with
weird uncles don't have
Uncles
children.
can have children. How do you think cousins come along? Legally, uncles in the state of South Australia cannot have children. Well, only dads and mums can.
Is that
no
a
uncles.
fact? Wow.
Yeah. They've had a law since the 80s.
Wow, okay.
I want to go away from the uncles back to the couple now. No, guys, you obviously came along in the last couple of years for more of the online content that Good Game has provided, and that's been a different space entirely. How's it been? I mean, obviously joining the family, because that's kind of what this show is. We're all, a bit of as you've seen. Was it intimidating coming in at first, Hingers?
That's my baby. It was very intimidating. Of course it's intimidating. You meet famous people from the television, and next thing you know, you're in a studio with them and talking to them, and it's incredibly intimidating. I don't think it's...
Is ABC too famous?
I'm making it less intimidating.
Yeah, it's very scary. It's incredibly scary, but it is made all the less scary by the fact that these people are really lovely professionals who would never do anything to make someone feel uncomfortable.
Not at all. Totally not. How many people fit in that onesie?
Yeah. It's all happening.
And Nick, obviously coming on and taking hold of Pocket as well, that's become your own beast in a way.
Yeah, I mean, when I started, I'd come off another show and I kind of knew you guys a little bit, that we'd met at some other functions and that sort of thing. But I think
I didn't remember you at all.
No, you don't remember me. No. But when I started, I think the biggest thing for me was I looked at everyone who worked at Good Game and I went, do these guys need a Nick? Like, where do I fit in here? I don't know. Everyone was really nice, but I didn't know what my in was, because I feel like the show, one of the great things about the show is it has a really strong voice, and that voice is you guys. Let me help you out.
And we did already have a white guy with a beard.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, I was kind of like, I don't know what I'm supposed to bring here. And then I had a conversation with Janet where I went, look, I'm not sure how to make this my own thing, because I feel like my voice is similar to you guys, but it is a little different, but I don't want to enforce that on the show. And she said, well, you should make Pocket your own thing, so make it your own voice, because it's close enough to us that it's in the family, but also it should have its own identity. And so I think that's where I sort of became more comfortable, and then I sort of let loose a little bit more, and then suddenly I was like, okay, yeah, this is where I'm comfortable in this space.
But it's also so important in terms of just keeping us a bit more current. We Good Game is awesome, I think, because we're able to put together a highly produced finished product on television, and we put a lot of work into it. There's a lot of people that are working very hard on each episode. It takes a lot. People don't realize it takes a lot to make half an hour of television, and we make 2 shows. So we make an hour of television each week, and we play all those games ourselves. We record all our game footage, and we write the reviews, and we're you know, that takes time to put together. But it also means that we're competing with people who've played and reviewed a game and put their review online, you know, instantly. So we have to make sure that that product is still worthwhile. But now with Pocket, we have a bit of that kind of more current instant content, which I think is really great.
Yeah, totally. And it's sort of also fitting in more with the live streaming and YouTube stuff that you know, completely took off and is something that the show can't really do. Like, it just, that sort of content finds, it's a strange fit when it's on television.
It's cool. Whenever I come on Pocket, I feel like I'm off duty.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It feels like more relaxed. I'm like, oh, hanging out with Nick in the studio.
And we're drinking heavily before we start filming.
Right,
and then afterwards as well, so yeah.
What about when I come on Pocket? How do you feel?
It's nipples mainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My objective in Pocket is how can I break Nick's brain?
Well, see, this is the thing, because I feel like if I have one skill, it's rolling with the punches. And so what that means is that you just up your game.
Yeah.
And so you just go, oh, a challenge.
Pocket is such a wonderful thing, though, and the way you've crafted the show and put it all together, and the way it's evolved, and the way the team behind it, you know, like behind all of us, there's about 20 to 30 people along the way who make us look amazing each week, and without them, we would be nothing. We would be shells on the ground.
Yeah, totally.
Husks.
Because I mean, you know, there's a huge amount of work going into making the television show, but also there's a huge amount of work going into Well Played and going into Pocket. That making really any video is actually like a huge undertaking. So we had this amazing.
You're dealing with a much more hardcore deadline than us.
Yeah, that's true. But also much more lax restrictions in terms of what we consider content.
Yeah.
I do like that when you said, you know, Janet's like, make this show your own. You're like, well, maybe I'll just plaster my face as the new logo of the show. And the Pocket badge is literally Nick just embracing it as a full-bodied logo. A well-designed one, I might say, at the same time.
Oh, yeah, very nice, yeah. A very handsome man must have made that.
And what are the plans for Pocket? There's possibly some rumors of what Pocket might be doing in the next. I'm putting you on the spot.
You are.
Yeah.
Oh, tell us some secrets, Nick.
Yeah, we want some Adelaide, you want like a bit of goss, something no one else has heard, right?
Is this something that we don't have approved funding for and so might not happen? And
Yeah, but
it's
maybe
bad
this
to-
is also a way to secure that funding.
Oh,
by just
okay,
saying
yeah.
that it's happening.
Yeah.
So no, it's nothing huge, but we hear. I mean, you guys will know that this is the first time that Good Game as a show has come to Adelaide, and I think you all say thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And in the same way, we hear from a bunch of people all over the country going that like the show, you know, it's hard to go to remote communities because we kind of need to attach it.
Adelaide, the remote community.
Yeah, well, more like I mean more like Broken
They
Hill.
can hear us.
Or just the desert. And right now I'm looking at a man wearing like a ski mask, and he seems to be making really relentless eye contact with me, and now I feel really bad saying sort of like the middle of nowhere. But what I mean by that is that with Pocket, we were thinking about doing possibly like a road trip around the second half of like the bottom half of Australia, and Pete, my producer, John, our editor, and I would sort of cram into a van and just drive for 4 weeks and make content and meet a bunch of people and sort of like take the show on the road. So that's something that we're and then end up at PAX. and
Pocket
do-
road trip.
Yeah, Pocket road trip and end up doing a live show at PAX like on the top of a van if we haven't killed each other. Yeah.
Because I think like that's one big thing that we've learned.
Pending
by
funding.
Pending funding.
That's one big thing we've learned by coming and doing events like this is how much we love coming out and actually meeting everyone who is, you know, a fellow gamer and watches the show. And it gets a bit addictive. Like you want to come out and do more things like that. And it's just a question of how much time we can spend on the show and how much time we can come and meet lovely people like you.
It's so rare when we actually do get to meet people, and you're right, whenever we do get to meet you guys, it actually gives us a lot of energy. You know, we spend a lot of weeks in front of that camera, you know, we see kind of ratings, you know, we don't really understand who's watching or why sometimes, but when we come out to something like this and we actually talk to you in the flesh, I can't even explain how joyful it is that that you guys actually are sitting here and seeing us and talking to us. It makes us feel good. It makes us want to do a good show.
Because we literally spent the whole day today just like meeting people. That was it. It was just like go here and do a signing, and then go do photos, and then go meet people like at a drinks area, and then go do more signings. And it was just different people the entire time, and they're all amazing. And particularly those guys who keep saying woo. Yeah. It's Peter. Ah, so close.
And finally, Hinger's doing esports. That's an area that it's been difficult to cover on Good Game.
It's so difficult. Do you remember when we tried to review Dota?
Oh, yeah, we did like a LAN party and we won because one of the other team dropped out. And we're like, we've done
still a
Dota,
win.
everyone. We don't need to do it again. It's hard.
still a win.
It's been a serious gap in, I think, our sort of knowledge base that
Yeah.
really needed to be filled. And
Hinger's using Well Played as a vehicle to, try and breach that gap and be more in touch with esports. Have you enjoyed being a part of this?
It's been the best. Yeah, working with everyone is the best. It's been a real pleasure.
What do you think is the future for sort of esports broadcasting? Do you think it is all going to be web-based? Do you think there's any room for it in TV?
I think television would do well to do more content about esports because you look at advertising revenue, which is unfortunately where television is kind of funded in Australia, and advertising revenue only goes up for sporting events, for live sporting events. For everything else, it's tanking, right? So I think esports is kind of a natural place for television. The problem is, for television, that people just want to watch it online because it's easy already, you know? So I think television wants esports more than esports wants television.
Wow, that got serious, and that's hard-hitting journalism now, guys.
Butts, ha ha ha.
There we go. That's the thing as we know and love. Well, yeah, guys. I mean, as I said, it's been an incredible journey, and hopefully we get to continue it. And hopefully, if you guys keep watching and keep supporting the show, we'd love to keep making it for you. But a big part about the show is obviously the games as well, because we like games, and hopefully you do too. Always these guys first. They're always this side, not so much. Do you know? I mean,
they're like, games are okay.
warm you up.
Many of you seem very, very tired. You're like, we've been walking, we've been shopping. Oh boy, no thanks.
But wow,
the audience is now heckling each other. That's weird.
We'll get onto a one side v the other in a moment, but we will take this chance, guys, to just chat about a couple of games that are important to us because we thought that might be a nice platform to do so. So yeah, basically we all play a lot of games, and it's rare that some of them really get through and actually mean something very meaningful to us at that stage. So
That's not true. Every game I play is a beautiful poem.
Right.
You only play StarCraft.
Yes, it's a beautiful poem.
Fair enough. And so we're just going to keep it super cash, but Barjo, I believe you've picked a game.
I have. Let me get my notes. Hang on.
Really? You brought notes?
Just in case.
I
Just in
said
case.
this was meant to be casual and informal.
No, we all brought notes. Steph's opening hers up now. I've got mine
I
on
thought
my
you
phone.
printed them out.
Sorry?
You said you printed them out.
No, I did. I didn't think you needed them.
Why would I ask you to print them out for no reason? It's fine. It's on my phone. It's fine. I'll get it.
Guys, we're having some difficulties right now.
But yes, Barjo, you picked a
Just
game.
booting up.
Yeah, good.
Really?
What?
Oh, wow.
What is
You would
that?
Phil.
No, I can
Do a catwalk.
No, I think
Go into
we've
it.
done enough of them for now.
Peer
Really?
pressure,
Do
peer
it!
pressure,
Do
peer
the
pressure.
sexy walk.
Do it! How
Do
long's
the
the
sexy walk.
How long's the boot up time?
Do
How long
the
have I got?
sexy
You
walk.
go for it. Go for it.
How long have I got before the boot up time? They've even lit it.
Do it. Do the walk.
Oh, they've changed the lighting for you. Yeah! Loves it.
Oh yeah. Goose Mangus
And the
is
pose.
wearing
Oh,
flannel
yes.
by.
Oh, like a catalog
Brilliant.
model. That was amazing. You loved that a little bit too much, I
Yeah, that was
think.
too good.
Something just happened inside.
Oh, me? You want me to do one?
Oh, my.
He did practice that for like
Please
20
tell me
minutes.
it's booted up now, because I'm not doing that again.
Yeah. So the
Excellent.
game I wanted to talk about is DayZ. Who here has played DayZ? Okay, so we got like 7%. That's good. That's good though, because DayZ is a game that a lot of people may have heard about, but maybe haven't played. I'll just be. Basically, what this game is it's part survival horror, part player versus player, and just like really a big part of a social experiment. Why DayZ was really interesting when we first started playing it is you've got this big open world, and there's zombies in it, and it's about survival, and it's about trying to get medicine and eat food, but really it's the other players that are real monsters in this world. it was a mod for a military simulation game called Arma 2, made by one guy called Dean Hall, and the game still isn't finished. It's still a buggy mess. You know, you would vault over something and break a leg, or sometimes a door would close and kill you. You know.
To be fair, these are things you deal with on a daily basis.
This is true. I am uncoordinated. But sometimes you would even spawn as a bird, and you're like, I'm flying around this game as a bird. But what DayZ really was, though, is that it taps into all these really dark, interesting emotions, you know? So I remember the first encounter I had in this game. It was set to the right time of day, so I'm playing it at 7 p.m. and it's pitch black. I'm walking around. I can't really see anything. I'm like, I'm not really getting this game. What's it about? You know, this big open world. I'm walking around. I can't find anyone. You walk for hours, literally hours. And I met a guy, his name was Jeff, I still remember him. He seemed like a pretty good old mate. We had a good time. We hung out together, we traded some flares, we walked for a while along these train tracks, and, you know, we fought off a couple of zombies. And then eventually, like, the situation changed, and the feeling in the room kind of changed, where, like, I'm running out of food, I need food, I'm gonna die from hunger, and he's got food, I know he's got food, but we've actually kind of formed this little bond of friendship. And I made the decision to, like, shoot him in the back, and... Yeah. And part of it was because I needed the food, you know, my situation changed and his didn't. And another part of it was I wanted to feel what that was like to betray something. And this is why I freaking love games, because they can make you feel.
Yeah.
Games can make you feel emotions that real life does, but games can make you feel certain emotions that other forms of entertainment can't, like shame, you know? Like, it's pretty rare to feel shame when watching a movie, but I felt shame after that because he was on the ground bleeding to death, screaming and yelling, and he was like calling me the C word and lots of other horrible things. And normally I would laugh at that in a game, but because the threat was so high in this, because it takes hours to find anything, hours to get anywhere, hours to do anything, if you can find someone, great. Because of that, like, I felt bad, you know? And that was a really unique experience, this dark, like, feeling deep inside of actually betraying someone. And it is a game that turns people into storytellers, you know? Like, I've told that story now, and I've got 1,000 stories that we had in DayZ from all these different encounters that we've never really had in other games. There was one in particular with you, Goose, where we got a car, which is incredible, and we're driving, like, out into the bush. And we're like, hey...
So hard to get a car in the game.
It's so hard. It takes months of work sometimes, unless you're very, very lucky, and we got lucky. And we were out in the bush, and you fell asleep in real life.
Okay, so I didn't know you were going to bring this story up, but basically, we were playing the game for a long time. It was a Friday night. I was in a onesie or something, and we were all playing together, and you can get in the back seat of the car, and I didn't have to do anything. I couldn't do anything. I just had to sit in the back of the car while we drove around for a while. And then I got sleepy, and then I nodded off at my keyboard, and then I fell asleep at my computer, drooling on my keyboard.
Yeah. And do you know what we did? Do you remember what happened?
I don't know what you did.
We drove that car off a cliff.
All your stories end with like, and then I killed them.
But you know what? There's a lot of really interesting positive emotions too. Like there's communication, there's leadership. You know, you form little bonds with people. Like if you see one person there, you might go up to them and talk to them and form a bond. You see two, probably not, because they're probably going to take you out because you're more of a threat to them than they are to you. And like the first time that we met each other in that game, Hex, like we walked for hours and hours and crawled for hours in this world.
It was just, okay, and I remember this was like, you were so passionate about this game and I was just so not on board. And at the time, it was so buggy and it was just, even just getting into the game involved so much waiting.
Yeah.
And I have very little patience for anything. Like, I'm like, I want to get in, I want to play, I want to have a good time, and then I'm out. Otherwise, like, not worth my time. So this whole kind of experience of just waiting and waiting to get into a server and then you spawn as a freaking bird, like, no. So... But, you know, I was determined to give it, like, a proper go. So I was loading into the game, and I finally kind of was there, and I think I died a couple of times because I was like, what's that? Can I stand? Do I have to crawl the whole time? And then I'd just get killed by a zombie.
Yeah.
So it was like 3 or 4 goes of just trying to stay alive for, like, more than 5 seconds. And I was like, you know what? Just to be safe, gonna just stay in prone the whole time.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Just crawl.
So I literally crawled on my belly across the land. And I was like, I'm going to stay alive and I will find you.
And this takes hours. Like, this is
so
10 minutes.
long. But I was like, I will stay alive and I will get there. And I could hear you guys, you know, you were talking and you were like all congregating in town and stuff. I was like, how will I know how to find you? And all of the names of the towns are in Russian. So you kind of look at the Russian characters and try to make a weird English sounding word out of it. And you guys were waiting in a town in a church. And so I crawled through town after town. None of them had a church. And finally I found it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. It's happening. And I got there and I walked into the church and it was empty. And you were like, oh, it must be the wrong town. Like you're in the wrong church. And I was just like, so ready to rage quit. And then, but I persevered. And like, I think by that point it had been like 2 hours maybe of just like crawling through the landscape, trying not to die.
And we're all trying to stay alive too, like there's bandits and people trying to
Yeah,
kill
and
us.
every now and again, some zombie would find me, and I'd be screaming and shrieking, and you would be trying to talk me through how to stay alive and bandage and all that kind of stuff. When I finally saw you, because I didn't quite believe it at this point that it was actually going to happen, when I saw you, like, I could see something moving in the distance. I'm like, is that a zombie?
Yeah.
And you were like, I think I see you. And I was like, actual tears like flooding down my face because I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening.
I've never heard you that emotional in a video game.
Oh my gosh.
And I think I had the same thing. I got shot once and I was furious. I was shaking and you guys...
betrayal, right?
Yeah, it was angry and it was that kind of emotion that obviously you're connecting with that was like, this is something that meant something in a game that was like, I'm not just feeling, oh, I'm happy or I'm sad. I'm like furious.
Yeah.
Or I'm devastated.
You uninstalled the game a bunch of times, then reinstalled it like that night, I remember.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I'm done with this, I'm back in.
It's hard because you spend so much time collecting stuff and, then you lose
It's all
it
taken
all,
away
man.
from you.
It was.
I'll wrap up.
Sorry, I didn't even...
No. This is why I love it, because it makes people want to tell stories. You know, it makes people want to feel emotions and
emergent
things happen all the time. Every moment in DayZ is different. Not like every game. Every single moment is different based on the objectives that change from the things that happen around you, caused by other players mostly. And you know, it's so interesting to me because it shows what games can do. You know, they can push on these things that we didn't think they could push on. And even though there hasn't even been a clone that's even come close to like what that game did, and that game is still broken, and I doubt it will ever be fixed. It's just a game that does a lot of things that are fascinating with a really kind of bare bones buggy mod. And there's one more thing I wanted to just say about it, and then I'll wrap up, I promise. It's got this proximity chat thing too, and I don't know a single other game that does this. So if someone's behind you over there, you hear them over there, but if they go away, they get quiet, and if they're too far away, you can't hear them. So not only is that really interesting from a player perspective when you're in a car or you're walking around and people are around you and talking because it feels kind of real, but it's really interesting for scaring people because someone might be in a house, and then you could just be on the outside and go, ha 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 ha, and then run around the house and really freak them out, and that makes me so happy.
And then I killed them.
And then
Well, Bajo, thank you for sharing. It's a game that we talk about and we think about fondly. It is really more like a vacation
People
we went
formed
on.
like actual gangs in that game and would hold people hostage, and the hostage would go along with it.
Yeah.
It was very, very socially
Incredible
interesting.
emergent storytelling. Hingers.
Yes.
You've got an incredibly emergent story-driven game that has touched you in some way or another. Is that correct?
What?
Which game
Touched?
Well, I meant, which game did you pick?
I want to talk about Smash. Well, I want to talk about StarCraft, but I figure everyone will be bored by that. So I want to talk about Smash, Smash Bros. Melee. In fact, I just saw on the hashtag someone was like, someone asked, "What is the best Smash game?" And if you say anything but Melee, you're wrong.
Is that person here?
Yeah, that was at Hingers.
Yeah. So yeah, but give us a cheer if you've played a Smash Brothers game. So this is the first game that I kind of got competitive with in person, right? So I played a lot of Brood War when I was in high school, probably too much. And what was interesting about that was you were just beating people on the internet. You never saw them, right? But with Smash, what you have to, when you go to tournaments and stuff, you're beating people and you're there right next to them. So it's kind of like how, Bajo, you were saying you like the emotions that a game allows you to feel, become an evil character or something. I liked being able to just dominate someone. Just sit next to them and then just destroy them and then look them in the eyes and watch them walk away. Do you know what I mean? Like that in-person feeling of and here's the thing, right? I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but when I was in high school, I was like a weird bullied kid, right? I wasn't good at sport. I was a total loser, right? And this was a thing that I was really good at that made me feel, and I'm not saying this is a good thing that it did, but it made me feel like I was good at something, anything, you know, because I wasn't really smart. I wasn't good at sport. I had basically nothing going for me. Not much has changed, but
You're in a onesie on stage.
What, sorry?
You're in a onesie on stage.
I'm nailing it.
Yeah.
Living large.
But what this game allowed me to do was just kind of just start to feel okay about myself because I was like, oh, I'm pretty good at this, right? And this was the first game I ever won money playing.
How did you win money?
Money matches. So the thing about Smash is, right, because you're playing in person with people, betting becomes a thing. And I am not endorsing gambling at all. but it is.
But here's all the money I won.
But it was kind of cool because you were playing with people, and then they were like, "I bet you I can beat you," and you're like, "Oh," yeah. And then I became like a shark, right? I go to tournaments and be like, "Oh, I'm really bad at this game," and then someone would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm only matching for like $10," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm so bad at this." You're like, it's the greatest feeling.
Did you like ever throw the first round? Because I felt that
Definitely,
about
it's
Mortal
all snaky,
Kombat. You know, that's the only game I played for like a year,
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat Trilogy or whatever on Mega Drive. Whenever I had a friend over, I'd like the first round and then like most of the second round, I just let them get me so close and then not even let them hit me once. And that just filled me with so much joy. Is that what you're
so
kind of?
good, because it's that hubris, because they start gloating and they start being confident, and then you're like, I'm pulling this rug out from underneath you right now.
And
What,
then I
sorry?
killed them. Yeah, you're right.
Yes, that is the line that he said before. Yes.
So when I asked you to find me a really emotional game that, you know, that just had a really impactful moment in your life, this is how I swindled some people out of money.
I'm a hustler.
I'm a hustler.
That's kind of like, and then it became a thing where I would go to tournaments and play, and I got quite good at this game, and I really had a fantastic time, right? And this was kind of my introduction to doing competitive tournament play and esports stuff, right? And that's kind of where the space I work in now. And I think without Smash, I probably would have just been if you can imagine, a much darker and angrier person, because I wouldn't have had that, you know, that good feeling of just being able to win in front of a crowd, which is kind of cool, you know?
Nice. No, I was like, no, that was supportive.
It was it?
That was really supportive. Give him a round of applause, guys. That was like, yeah.
Thank
How
you for that
Hing is
sympathy clap. I really appreciate it.
Excellent. And now, Hex, you picked a game as well that has meant something to you, or that you found was very impactful. What game was that?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously everyone knows I'm a huge fan of The Witcher 3. Yeah, right. So, or maybe you don't, I don't know, but I am. But I've talked about that game so much, I feel like I'm almost sort of breaching ABC editorial policies by fangirling over it constantly. So I thought I'd talk about something else, something a little bit more, well, not more interesting, but just a little bit different. When I sort of first started getting into video games, there was a sort of idea of video games that I really liked, and that was mostly kind of action adventure and fantasy role-playing games and things like that. And when I started my job on Good Game, it really broadened my horizons to a whole scope of games that I never really kind of knew about or knew that I really loved. And I think the sort of narrative puzzle genre is, particularly in the indie scene, is really doing some amazing things. And Gone Home in particular was a game that just really blew me away. I thought it was just so incredible. And it's a genre of game that we like to refer to as snooper mops. Yeah. You know, games where you go through and you like rifle through people's possessions. Something really like voyeuristic and wonderful about that. Kind of reminds me of like, you know, when you have a kind of maybe like a work colleague or someone that you don't know that well, and you've known them, like you've worked with them for a long time, but then you go to their house for the first time, and it's like you've come to know kind of a facade of this person, and then suddenly you're in their private space, and you're like looking at all of their things and really getting a sense of who they are and kind of judging them.
And then you lock them in the bathroom and you go through all their drawers.
Yeah, right. So there's something, these kinds of games really kind of tap into that, that voyeuristic, I think, deep desire we all have to just like totally go through people's stuff and try and form opinions of them and judge them.
Note to self, never invite Hex around.
Oh yeah, I've done it in your place already.
Oh, good. I know Barjo has, but he leaves evidence.
Yeah. So I think these games are really interesting in the way they tell stories, because you're basically trying to form a narrative and piece together a narrative from items you find. And it's such an interesting way, to tell a story.
You know, we go, if I may, we go through life like observing things, right? You know, it's a big part of our life. That's why I'm fascinated about these kinds of games in particular, because it's you are just observing. Like there's a world already set up, and you've got to like figure out and put the pieces together. You know, we're just watching everything. I find that really interesting.
Yeah. I think what's so great as well about Gone Home, just to kind of set it up a little bit, is that it presents itself like a horror experience when you first arrive. It's kind of a really dark and stormy night. You are a girl who's been overseas traveling for some time, and you arrive back home and the house is empty and there's lightning flashing and it's all very mysterious and everyone's gone and your sister is missing. So I was kind of like, all right, I get what this is. Ooh, you know, super scary. And the reality of this game is actually quite different. It's difficult to talk about without spoiling it, so I won't go into too much detail. But what I love so much about the way they kind of lead you through this story and the little clues they leave around for you in terms of the items within the house. You know, I picked up a TV guide and saw the X-Files was circled, and I was like, okay. And then I looked around and I was like, VCR machine, VHS tapes. Okay, we're in the 90s. Okay, and then you start to kind of pick up little clues, letters from people and items, and then it kind of becomes this real story about the sister and who she was and where she's gone and why. And, you know, the character in the game would obviously know her sister quite well, you would think, but you as the player don't. And so that's kind of an interesting dynamic. And then you kind of come to realize that maybe the sister doesn't even know her own sister that well at all, because you're actually uncovering quite a, significant piece of information about her that you didn't know. And all the while there is this kind of mystery that something quite terrible has happened to her, and it's just really unnerving. And every item you pick up in the house could have such significance and weight, and you're just not sure. So you're trying to kind of examine. I got to a point where I was in the bathroom and I opened it and there was a box of tampons, and I was like turning it over and I was like, is this something? Is this important somehow?
Welcome to like.
Is it just tampons? I don't know.
Any man looking in a bathroom, they're like, no idea.
Yeah. There's a great slide. I don't know if it'll come up, but there's some guy just went and collected every single item in the game and just laid it out in the front foyer area just to show. And it really highlights the amount of detail that has gone into the game, but just as his own kind of personal little I win this game type thing. Just collected every single item. But it's so wonderful once you kind of go up into her bedroom, and as a former teenage girl, there was a real kind of nostalgic connection there to some of the items that you find. You find pamphlets of like kind of riot girl stuff. Music plays a huge part in the game. There's really great sort of punk tracks that start to really shape her personality. And as you start to go through her bedroom, which feels weird and wrong in some way, but at the same time kind of special and wonderful, because you kind of handling these personal items that really sort of shape her as a person, and private sort of letters and things like that, and you suddenly feel so connected to this person and so attached and invested in them and what happened to them. And I think the fact that a game like that is kind of graphically, not that intense, is able to generate such an emotional response in you as a player is just really amazing. And I never knew coming into this job that there would be these kinds of experiences that I would be undertaking, and they've become some of the most meaningful gaming experiences that I've had.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting, as Barju, you said earlier, it's these experiences that you just weren't expecting, but obviously you're not going to do these in real life. It's these games are allowing you to explore these, really a bit morbid in your sense, but in Steph's sense, it's like things that you wouldn't do because you just be polite in real life. It's letting you escape into that little sort of voyeuristic mode as well.
Yeah.
Do you think that games like that, it's not going as far as extreme as fantasy, but it's almost set in real life? Does that kind of game appeal to you on a larger level than the fantasy stuff you talked about?
I mean, I think so. I mean, I love fantasy for a different reason, because I kind of like to put myself in that role and imagine how I would live in that world. Whereas this is very much, generally it's driven by mystery. There is, you're kind of following the mystery of what happened to her, and also the more you start to learn about her as a person, you kind of learn that she was kind of guarding a secret. But then you also learn that everyone in the family has something going on, and you become invested in the secrets that are kind of being hidden throughout the game, and that becomes so exciting, but at the same time such a clever storytelling device, and there are red herrings everywhere, and all of this is told through items that you pick up, and I think that's so incredible.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nick, as a young teenage girl yourself,
Yeah.
there was a game that was very close, that is still very affecting on your life right now,
Absolutely.
that you've been avoiding playing on your phone the whole time we've been here.
It's all I've wanted to do. Yeah, it's interesting. So the game that I wanted to talk about is Hearthstone.
No,
No.
it's my turn. Sorry, guys. This is...
That
just
was-
a ping
that
pong
was
back and
me.
forth. Yeah, I actually wanted to pick a game as well, and I'm so sorry I mixed that up.
That's fine.
But yeah, a game that I played that had a real impact on me. I'm so sorry. It's Unplugged, guys. It's just
It's casual. It's so
totally
Unplugged.
casual.
Just hanging out.
A game I played that had a massive impact on me was Shadow of the Colossus. Has anyone played that game? Yeah. Is that how you felt at the end of the game? No. No, the reason I picked that game is that it was one of the first games I played that showed me how a game can tell an amazing story by not actually telling the story, if that makes sense. Essentially what happens is, again, not to spoil the game, but you start very late in the story. You basically are dropped into this world, you have no idea what's going on, and mystery plays a big part in it. And basically what happens is you have to play catch-up. There's, mystic, cryptic narration the whole time, and the whole time you are just playing catch-up to this story that's occurring. And the game does it in such an effective way by basically surrounding you with nothing. And playing that game for the first time, I was not expecting to find nothing so affecting. And in that way, a similar way to DayZ as well, it's these experiences that aren't front-loaded with tutorials and that aren't exposition of characters telling you everything about the story you're about to be involved in. I'm talking to you, COD or something like that, where it's like, hey, here's the whole story. You just went in there wide-eyed and, just completely baffled about what was going to happen. And as the story progressed, you realized that there was this really deep narrative, there was this really rich, filled world. And after I played that game, I don't know about you, if you guys have had a similar experience, I found it really hard to go back to any game that does the more traditional storytelling of opening with a cutscene or... Yeah.
The thing that struck me about Shadow of the Colossus was what a ballsy idea. Like, this is a game which is essentially 13 boss fights, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the game, but it is just so much more than that. There's no grinding of, like, little enemies on the way. There's no... all these things that you expect in a game like this from what you see in the trailer. And then, like, by the time you've, like, killed, the second or third one, you feel... suddenly, like, not the hero, right?
Yeah, and I think that's probably the most important thing that it does because it's such a rare thing. Video games is a lot of the time about killing things, and we take that as a given, and that's a device that is kind of essential in most games. But it was one of the first games. I think Spec Ops: The Line was another one that kind of made you really think about what it means to take a life. And tried to put a little bit more weight back into that to kind of make you consider, what you're doing rather than kind of just going through the motions of killing things.
Yeah, totally. And for me, one of the ways it did that was by only making 13 enemies, essentially. So every time you did kill or destroy something, there was the weight of it. You really felt it. It wasn't, masses of an army that you were mowing down. You had to go and find these characters in this vast openness. And when you found these beautiful big creatures...
Oh, they're so pretty, aren't they?
I
That's
know.
like a whole part of it. The art design of them is so good.
I'm sad
Sorry
I
to
picked
interrupt
this
you.
game because I'm just getting sad thinking about it right now. But it was such an amazing thing to feel that kind of emotion, to not feel triumphant for killing something, to actually feel remorse. But at the same time, you had this story of, you were trying to save this, dying love, and you had to continue. There was no other way to play the game. And the thing that really struck me was that games can leave you alone. Games can put you in these open worlds, and they can make you just be left to think as your own little character. You can't open a book and just have blank pages, and it just says, like, just ponder on this or something. You could. It would suck. But a game can just go, there you are, take 5 minutes, think about that, ride all the way home and think about what you've done, which is what that game did. And yeah, I can't recommend it if you haven't played it, if you get a chance to. It is just one of my favorite games of all time, but not because I had so much fun playing it, because it haunted me. And I think a lot of these games that we're bringing up, have a kind of haunting feel. They stay with you. And that's something that I love about the medium, and that I loved about this game in particular. I'm just going to work through my tears over here. Nick, you picked another game?
Yeah, let's talk about a really haunting game. So my game is Hearthstone. And the reason it's interesting because you guys were talking about games that let you do something you can't do in real life. And for me, the really special thing about Hearthstone is when I was a kid, I was a bit of a loner gamer. So I got bought the wrong console as a child. I got bought the Sega Master System, and everyone else had Nintendo. And so
I like the Master System.
Yeah, I know, and I was so happy when we met. And
I was alone as well, actually, as a kid.
And
it all makes sense now.
Yeah, and we could bond over like Alex Kidd and Strider, and like, there you go. Now this side of the room's cheering up. And so,
Columns.
yeah, and columns. And so it meant that a lot of the gaming experiences that my friends were having in school were experiences I wasn't having unless I went over to their place. And then a lot of the games that I would play, therefore, because, you know, the Sega Master System didn't have the best library, was I played lots of board games. And I played a lot with my family, and I also played Magic the Gathering. And so I really loved it. Yes! Nerds represent! And so then, as I grew up and I got into sort of more mainstream gaming later, I became sort of realizing that I didn't have a lot of connection with a lot of the people that were playing games, that I didn't have a lot of the same sort of like tether points to connect with, because a lot of my games were board games, and I didn't really like multiplayer games as well, because generally most multiplayer games are shooters, and I am just not particularly good at shooters, and also, like we were talking about, I'm not crazy on a huge amount of violence in games. And so when Hearthstone came along, I got so excited because I went, oh my god, they're taking this thing that I love, which is this board game that like I'm relatively good at and that I have a really strong emotional connection with, and they're now putting it on my computer and they're putting it on my phone, and it's somewhere I can play with anyone, anywhere, at any time. And that actually started to become my multiplayer gaming. And that was where I started. It's weird though, because you don't meet the other people you're playing against. You can't even talk to them. You can just sort of like send those emotes. And I actually think that's something that's so important about that game, is that
It's very central to Warcraft as well, because when you play across factions, you can't communicate with each other.
exactly, yeah. And it means that you cannot have an abusive community. You can have people who can annoy the crap out of you by constantly saying sorry every time they do something amazing.
Hello.
Yeah, or saying hello. Yeah, exactly.
That's what Banjo does. He just says hello the whole time.
But you can't have someone who, you know, discriminates against you or hates you because you suck, or you're a woman, or you're a child, or
Can't be
whatever.
bullied, right?
Exactly,
like in
yeah.
a lot of online shooters like Counter-Strike, what a toxic community. You're just bullied most of the time.
Exactly, and you just end up turning off a lot of communication because you don't want to deal with it. So it's this friendly community. It's also taking a game that was so like deep and complex like Magic, and it's making it way more accessible, but still has a huge amount of depth. It's something that also, like, given my job on Pocket, that I'm a lot of what I do is play with the community, play with the Pocketeers, you guys who watch, and this is a game that people can pick up for free, and they can get in, and they can sort of like wrap their heads around it, lightly.
I mean, it is free, but that hasn't stopped you spending money on it, Nick.
I just love that, as you said, that I flicked to the next slide, which is the like purchase page for packs. You've spent a lot of time on that page, haven't you, Nick?
Yeah, and so, I mean, that's the other thing, right? That it's a free-to-play game, but I think all free-to-play games are really like free-to-try games, and then if you want to really invest in this, you can either put a huge amount of time or you can just sink some money into it. And I have put more money into Hearthstone than I have any other game in my entire life. Like, it is a stupid amount of money that I've spent on that game. It's embarrassing how much I've spent. But I have spent that much money because I have gone, I want to get all these cards so that I can start creating like all these different decks, because I can put myself in the community and try what other people are making. Like, there's so much experimentation and stuff. So yeah, it's weird. Like, my game is this multiplayer game. Your game is a multiplayer game about social experiments with people, and mine is multiplayer of going, oh, it's actually just right now I could connect to someone and have like a shared interest over something that was so important to me as a child. So yeah, that and the fact that got to spend money on something. So like,
nice. Well, thank you guys for indulging me with your choices against. And guys, thank you so much for listening. It's rare that we actually get a chance to really talk about a game that's close to our hearts or that had a big impact on us. And this was a really sort of lovely, informal way to do that. So first of all, thank you so much, guys. Give yourselves a big round of applause for
sitting and listening.
Sitting and listening. You did a great job. We'd love to do a bit of a quick Q&A now. And so, guys, if you want to whip out your phones and have a look through
Whip
them.
'em out.
I still feel like we're not. It's a bit formal being back here. Can we get the lights up on the catwalk?
oh yeah, go for it.
No. Can I get the lights up?
What?
buddy.
Can I get all of us up? All four of us up. We're gonna come down. We're gonna come down to you guys, right down the front.
Let's get intimate with the
So
audience.
let's all wander down. Sorry,
That's
everyone.
cool.
We're just gonna like.
The cameramen are freaking out.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. How's this work? If we all just take a sit, just
Casually
take a sit.
sit.
Down
Oh,
here.
is this the acoustic part
This
of
is the
of the
acoustic,
concert?
What
yeah.
about all the
This is
people
what
at the front?
They
guys?
can
We're gonna,
see
we're gonna
us.
slow it
Cutting them
down now,
out.
guys.
We're just gonna
slow it down.
just gonna answer some of your questions.
What's happening
Michael,
over there?
So,
Hi there.
You are my fire.
No.
My one
Hey, buddy.
I'm not comfortable.
desire.
All right, so we're going to fire through a few quick questions, guys, and we feel like we're down here with you guys now. So is there a roving microphone somewhere, hopefully? If there is, otherwise we're going to jump straight onto the Twitter. Hi, Michael.
I brought my phone so we can do the
Yeah, I've got a couple.
Guapka. What was
All
it?
right.
Guapka?
Quapka.
Have you got a good one?
Guapka.
I have no. Hang on.
Can
I'm just looking.
I start off while we're waiting?
Yeah, Nick, go
So
for it.
I found Undead Noir. Are you here?
Okay, this
Undead
is
Noir.
someone- This is someone who's just found.
How did you co-op the hashtag? I don't understand. Anyway, this is Mal Leonardo, so Undead Noir. Their question, which means I need to go all the way back there, but what is in the companion cube?
Oh.
Which is up here.
Ah.
And the reason I picked this is because initially the companion cube was empty when we turned up here, and we were like, oh, this is good. And then someone, and I can't remember who it was it you?
It was me.
Yeah.
I couldn't find
Was
the
it
bin.
you? So then Hex put her empty coffee cup in
I
here.
couldn't find a bin.
So the
And
companion
it's a
cube is a
teacup.
bin.
And she
I
went
don't
like,
drink coffee.
she went like, I don't want this anymore. And she like went around this, and none of us would take it off her. So she just put it in the bin, in the box.
They're shame.
Hey, I
They're shame.
have a question to kick things off. So this one is from Greg Axe Wilden. Thoughts on Xbox Play Anywhere, Microsoft's decision to have close to no console-specific exclusives. This is something I'm really excited about. If you don't know, any Microsoft studios published games, such as Gears of War 4, for example, will be able to be played on Xbox One as well as PC. And you only have to buy it once. And a lot of them are going to have cross-play, which means for those who like, I like to play a lot of games on PC because I put a lot of money into my PC and I can make it look as good as possible and I've had the good stuff. So it's hard when all my friends are playing something on a console and, it still looks great on Xbox One, but like I want to play it on the PC. So it removes this barrier. And I'm so excited about what Microsoft are doing with that. I'm surprised they've taken so long to do it. But just having like barriers removed, like when they're making this new, more powerful console, remove another barrier because I just want to play games with people, with my friends in a way that I want to. One day there may be no console that is like branded. It's like you can just play this game. It doesn't really matter where you play it.
You sat there in the E3 press conference and everyone was looking at you because the chairs were moving because you were just bouncing on the spot, shaking me going, they did it. They bloody did it.
I like graphics. I like graphics.
You do.
Can I do a speed answer of some of these?
Yeah, let's fire for
Okay.
for a few.
What's your favorite Blizzard game? Diablo 3. Horde or Alliance? Horde.
Definitely.
Tits.
What?
What?
Tits?
What?
That's not really a question. That's a statement.
You take that as a compliment.
This is a great one. What is the recommended amount of dedicated wham should I have to a server?
6?
6?
Yeah, between 6 and 9.
That makes sense. Okay, anyone else? Hingers?
Yep. Hey, Gus, when are you going to do some reviews of venues in Adelaide? Maybe a venue crawl. That's from Gamma Room Essentials.
Is Gamma Rune Essentials here? Yes. Oh, it's the
Oh.
one that was over there that was behind. We'd love to. I think we'd love a reason to. We're going to try and get a bit more travel under our belt on the show this year, as we mentioned. And one of the things we'd love to do is come out to places like Adelaide and obviously other cities as well and check out anything gaming related. So obviously there's like heaps out there and we're trying to find as much as possible because I'm running out of stories for ideas for stories. So anyone out there has an idea, hit me up afterwards and you might get a partial credit.
I've got Evie Momo. Evie, if you're here. Why are my people not here? Oh, there she is. Just yell out. We can't see anything, so just yell. Barjo, which is your favorite Dark Souls 3 boss to fight? Dark Souls 3.
Hello.
There's so many beautiful ones. You know what? I actually really loved it. There's a zone where you go back into like the first zone and you just fight that first guy again, but just like the whole lead up to that fight in this dark zone, and he's got like red eyes and a few extra move sets, and it's just like, oh, this is what I want to do. Yeah.
So, Bajo, Lani Banani would like to know, what are your thoughts on One Direction?
On One Direction, they're a band of young gentlemen.
Well done.
Correct.
Well
who
done.
sing about popular
Who's your
things.
favorite One
Who's my
Directioner?
Yeah.
Oh, the really tall one. He's great.
Oh, totally.
I have
Gigantor.
okay, serious question. Not that wasn't serious. I had a good one. Dedicated wham. No.
Bajo, can you take off your top? Also, you're all awesome. No, but you can see that online.
Okay, this is a good one from Mork. What are your favorite tabletop games and why? Love a bit of tabletop.
I played Werewolf recently. Has anyone played that? Yeah. That game is cool, and also it's backstabbingly, it'll ruin a friendship as well. So we all went to the pub to have a good time, and then we all left as enemies. So play it with your enemies, I guess. That was a good one.
And then you leave as friends? Is that how that works?
Oh yeah, that might work that way. Don't go play with your enemies. So
Anyone play Hero Quest?
Yeah, I used to play Hero Quest.
That was so fun.
I played Hero Quest and I didn't know how to play Hero Quest, so I would just set it up and then look at it and then pack it down.
Do you have any other questions?
I'm a big fan of, I love Settlers of Catan because I love it because it's not, doesn't have to be like massively long and you can hook people in on it who maybe aren't gamers or tabletop gamers. But I also really love the Battlestar Galactica tabletop game, if you've played that, and the Pegasus expansion. It's so good because like the first round you play and then like halfway through you hand out cards and then like those people might be Cylons and then they have to like sabotage. It's awesome. And also I think Talisman's great, old school.
Yeah, Mage Knight, Pandemic, you've got kind of like Game of Thrones is kind of like the Battlestar one where it's like you invest a day into this and betray
I
your
like the Game of
friends.
Thrones one because I feel like it's all about like trades and like and I don't like
That's so good.
and people
Trades
form
are so
alliances
good.
and I don't like betraying people.
Yeah, too nice.
yeah, that's
Like-
true. We might have a question actually down here with the mic. So
yeah.
hello, what's your name?
Sorry.
Wow.
That's close. Sorry about that. My name's Benjamin.
Hey Benjamin, what's your question?
My question is, have you guys ever done cosplay before?
Ooh, we were thinking about this. Hingers, you were actually thinking of cosplaying today.
Yeah, I was. I was
You
going
have a
to
bit.
come as a Pokemon because of Pokemon Go, and I thought it'd be cool to people get.
Oh, we should
catch
put
me and stuff,
Allure
but-
down. Has someone done it already?
Yeah. They're all over there. But you feel like that when I do it, I want to make it myself, and I've just never had the time in the last I don't know decade to do it. So yeah.
Nick and I were discussing cosplaying as each other.
Yeah, but then we went, well, we also, you can't see it now, but this morning when we met at the airport, we were both wearing dark pants,
The same thing.
green jacket. We'd already done it, so
Yeah,
I think I'm just saying we have.
Incidentally.
Indeed.
I actually, the first con I ever went to, I cosplayed as Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica, and that was actually the con that I met Bajo and stalked him as a fan.
So
Yeah.
take that as a note, guys. Stalk us, and you could get a job. No, don't. Actually, no.
Can come true.
Don't.
But I also,
do that.
I recently, I'm shooting a show called How to Be a Fan, and we do a whole episode on cosplay, and I cosplay in that, for realsies.
Excellent.
So-
Bajo, what would you cosplay as?
Look, I've cosplayed as Sonic a few times because the outfit is really scary.
Yeah,
It's because
that's
the eyes are
terrifying.
really droopy and the belly's kind of really fleshy and it's just a scary costume of
But also,
Sonic.
you haven't just cosplayed as him. You've ridden your scooter dressed as Sonic to a convention.
And my scooter's blue and its number plate is Sonic as well. And I put a red stripe on it the other day because I love it.
Clearly, you're a fan.
Thanks for listening.
we've got
one
another
here from-
question
Oh,
over
sorry.
here.
Go ahead, mate.
Oh, we've got another question over here on the right.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, and I was just wondering, what was the first video game that got you into video games?
Got us into it. I actually played Impossible Mission on the Commodore 64, maybe the Amiga. Does anyone play that game? The Destroy Him, My Robots one? Yeah. Which was incredibly hard, and my older cousin played it. And basically, I tried to play it, and I think I might have ruined one of his paused games, and I cried. Why are all my stories ending in crying?
I love it.
But that was one that I went, these are cool, I want to play more of them, and I don't want to cry anymore.
The first game I ever played, I don't know if anyone remembers it. It was two gorillas on top of buildings and
Rampage.
Yeah, Rampage.
Yeah,
Rampage is
and
so
you had to throw bananas at each other.
Yeah.
And you had to angle the bananas, and my parents let me play it because they said it was like maths homework.
It's not Rampage.
It's not Rampage, but Rampage
No,
was awesome.
Rampage is the dinosaur and
Yeah,
the gorilla.
yeah,
No,
it's
no, this is
smashing.
like gorillas, and you throw bananas and they explode, but you got to work out the angles. It's really fun.
Mine was the aforementioned Alex Kidd because it came installed in the Master System, and it's still one of the greatest platformers of all time. Full stop. Thank you.
For me, my first game was Mrs. Pac-Man and lots of old stuff, but the one that really made me think about games differently was Another World. Anyone played that? That was just this really beautiful looking world full of puzzles and mysteries, and one of those games that said a lot without actually saying a lot, and you just kind of lived in that world and felt pain and loss and wonderful. And it's on the Mega Drive, so it was awesome.
And Hex?
I played obviously a lot of the N64 classics and stuff at friends' houses and stuff when I was growing up. But the first game that really I would say that was the first game that I would actually classify as a game that I was addicted to. Like it was my first kind of gaming addiction, and it was a text-based online role-playing game, or a MUD, multi-user dungeon. That was. They were really popular in the 80s. They're still around now. This particular one was called Lensmore, and it is entirely text-based, and you're just kind of typing in syntax and commands and things like that to kind of, work your way. And it's online, you play with other people, and it was just, I was so into, I've always been big into fantasy, but I was, reading a lot of fantasy fiction, and this was kind of an evolution of that. And the first time I kind of dropped into that world and I started typing out commands and looked at other players and read their character descriptions and saw all of their items on them, I was like, this is amazing. And the politics of the world and the role-playing was so cool.
And there was another reason you played that, because you could get away with playing it, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Well, because my parents are really anti-video games, so I didn't have consoles or anything growing up, which is why I had to play a lot of those games at friends' houses and stuff. But because this was all text, they didn't really kind of clue into the fact that it was a video game. So, yeah, I got away with it for ages.
So take note, kids, there's another tip as well. Trying to get away.
And take note, parents, if your kids are just looking at a wall of text, they're playing a video game.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've got time for one more just down in the front here. Hello.
Hi, I'm Ellie. I'm from marketing, and my question is, and my question is, out of the Good Game team, who is sitting on the highest level at the moment for Pokemon Go? And you have to be really honest.
Oh, wow.
And what teams are you on?
Oh.
Yeah, come on, everybody wants to know that. We know everybody wants to know that.
Now we leave.
Oh, okay, so, we're just going to have to back out of the auditorium. Because,
Why did we come so far forward?
Let's start it this way. Who on the Good Game team is currently playing Pokemon Go?
I've deleted it.
I've deleted it.
I mean, define...
You've
I'm
opened
kind
a
of
can of
playing
worms.
it on and off. Not a very high level. I'm Team Mystic.
I love
But I just, okay, and we've talked about this on the show, but I'm very happy with separating my life and my gaming life. So when I game, it's in my space that I game and I enjoy that, and then when I want to get out of the house and do other stuff, that's my time to do that. I don't like to combine the two. So walking around and playing, it's not for me. What I have found though is that when you're in the city in a cab, you can kind of be sitting in the back of the cab, and it's like Pokestops everywhere. Like you can just smash through a whole bunch of this game really quickly, and it's not really an affront to my personal time.
Yeah, we have all, I think, uninstalled just because we've realised it will ruin our lives in a good way.
Hingers is still playing.
Hingers, you're still playing?
I'm deep, baby.
Okay, well, I guess you win that. But I will add the one.
What level are you?
It's not important, but I'm
Tell the people. You had to be brutally honest. And what team? Because apparently that's the worst sin.
I'm also Team Mystic.
Is that the blue one?
Blue.
Oh, wow.
The only team, yeah. I will say I've enjoyed it just because it's getting me out and walking. And I know it's been a bit, I've been a bit emotional tonight, but it has been good for my mental health to be out and just experiencing parks and niceness. In fact, I was saying to someone today, I was walking through a park late at night. I was going from where I parked to a gig, and I saw some youths in the park, and it was quite late.
Yeah, shady
Yeah, and I was like,
congregating.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, they're youths. They're gonna rob me. And then I'm ruled by fear. And as I got about 20 minutes away from them, and they're all on their phones. I'm like, oh no, they're just nerds playing Pokemon. This is sick. These are my people. This is fine. I should never have felt fear at all. And then I went up to them and was hanging out, and then it was weird because when you work in this job and you meet gamers, they want to hang out with you, and I wanted to hang out with these guys because they were playing Pokemon. And then after about 10 minutes, they were like, hey, we have to go. And I'm like, no, guys, come back. We can still hang out and play. Anyway, so
what a phenomenon this game has been though. Like I've seen people going on little Pokemon dates, and it's just I see people having joy on corners.
It's so cool, and just meeting people and just having an instant thing to talk about. Meeting a stranger, and you're like, oh hey, what is this Pokemon that we just caught? Blah blah blah. There's a Rapidash over there or whatever. It's just the best.
And think of the next iteration of it, like the next version of this that gets us all to do that.
It just,
when it actually becomes a game.
It just needs a bit more game, yeah. And all I ever catch is Zubats, and that's really annoying.
Same. What is up? Is that a thing?
Frickin'
It's just Zubats a thing?
Zubats.
This was going to be...
And they're hard to hit with the ball because they're flapping around everywhere.
Thanks, Mom. I was just having trouble with them.
No, Zubats.
What are those Kiwis with the two heads?
This is the one you'd want to cut you a Zubat.
Well, I think we could talk a lot longer about Pokemon Go and a few other things as well, but I think that's all the time we have for now, guys. So thank you so much for taking the time to sit in and let us chat to you and let us tell you about why we love video games. And I hope you enjoyed listening to us talk at the same time.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming out, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
This has been really cool.
It's been awesome to come out and see you all. We're going to get up now, do one last twirl, and head back to the couches.
Oh, the catwalk.
So we're just going to finish with a final catwalk back. So was the light still up? And we just a little... No, not even...
Is this right?
Amazing. For the last time, guys, thank you so much for coming out, and enjoy the rest of AVCon. We'll be around for tomorrow as well, and so come and say hi when you see us at a signing or photographs as well. And that's it
Just
for
a
us.
note, tomorrow's show is going to be the same as this one.
We'll repeat all the same questions.
We are,
Yeah, we need all the same audience back.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Such
so
and
you
such from marketing.
Yes. But we will be back doing another show tomorrow and some more signings, so hopefully we'll see a few of your faces around as well. But that's it from all of us, guys. So until next time, Goose out.
Hang is out. Whoops.
Hex out.
Nick out.
Batu out. Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
Thank you very much.